I'd like to start off today's session with a little bit of a discussion about something you may have heard about. You may have heard quite a bit about it, in fact. It's called forbearance. And forbearance is an opportunity, I guess you might call it, a situation where if someone is struggling financially, maybe through a loss of job or something, some reduction in income, and they're struggling financially, they can apply to their lender for what is called forbearance. And simply put, forbearance is where the lender will allow them to miss a certain number of payments. It might be three, it might be four, it might be six. Every lender is going to be a little bit different, and it's going to depend on your individual situation as well. But let's say you are in that situation, you can talk to your lender and apply for forbearance. Of course, you're going to have to demonstrate that you really need it, that you are struggling financially, that you're not able to make those mortgage payments. And if you can do that, your lender may grant you forbearance. Now, the thing I want to make really clear is forbearance is not forgiveness. When it comes to the end of that forbearance period, whether it's 3 months, 4 months, 6 months down the road, your lender is going to want to be paid back for all of those missed payments. And every lender is going to be different. Some of them will allow you to tack it on the end. That's probably not very many of them, to be honest with you. The others will have some sort of a payment plan. Now, I've heard situations where the lender wants to be paid right away. And that's understandable. Obviously, if we lend money to somebody, we want to get it back as quickly as we can. In a sense, that's what they're doing. They're lending you money. So what I've heard in some situations is you can miss, let's say, payments 1, 2, 3, 4, and then month 5, your forbearance period ends, and they want the payment for month 5. But what they also want is the payments for months 1 through 4, all at the same time. Now, as I said, every lender is going to be different, and some of them may have a more generous plan for you. They may allow you to spread out those missed payments over 6 months or 12 months. But they are going to want to be paid back, and we can probably assume that with every lender, they're going to want to be paid sooner rather than later. One of the things that's going on with forbearance in that situation is you probably know that the lender you have and applied for your mortgage with and who granted you that mortgage, that lender sold your loan. They sold it to an investor. It might have been a government institution, but it has probably, in almost all cases, ended up as a small part of a mortgaged-backed security that is then sold to investors. The lender that you are working with is really at this point only a servicer. They collect your payment, they take a small part for themselves, and they pass the majority of that money on to the investor, who's making a profit by design. The thing that is hidden behind this whole forbearance thing is that your servicer, while they may let you stop payments for a while, they still have to pay those investors. So they're using their money to pay the investors while you're not paying them money. So in effect, it really is your lender lending you more money because they're making your mortgage payments for you. So they are definitely going to want that money back sooner rather than later in most cases. Does that make forbearance a bad thing? No. Does it make it a great thing? No. It really depends on the circumstances you're in and what the terms are that your lender will grant you. It's very important that if you decide to pursue forbearance, and for some it can be a really, really important resource or tool during this time where you need to get some breathing room. But in those situations where you do apply for forbearance, what you need to do is make sure that you know exactly what's going on in terms of your repayment plan, because you don't want to feel like okay, this is a really neat thing, and someday I'll pay that money back, because they're going to have very specific terms. And you don't want to get hung up in a situation where all of a sudden they spring on you a very stiff repayment plan that you can't make, and then you open yourself up for foreclosure, which could be a pain even greater than trying to make those payments on a monthly basis now. So it can be a great tool for some, and I invite you to look into it, but don't jump into it as being a panacea. For some it'll work great, for some it won't. And that's my only point here. I just want to make sure that you understand what forbearance is and what forbearance isn't, so that you can make a smart choice about whether or not it's a tool that you should be using. Again, speak with your lender, see if you qualify, but find out exactly what the repayment plan is, and make sure that you're going to be able to live with those terms. So I hope that's helpful. We'll be talking about other things like this as we go forward, but for the moment, and if you have any questions about forbearance, while I'm not a lender, I do know quite a bit about it. I can connect you with lenders that may be able to help, but I can certainly try to answer any questions you have or direct you to the proper resource. One other thing I want to mention here is that if you have other things that you think would be interesting to talk about, for me to outline as affects our current housing market, not necessarily anything to do with the crisis situation, but just housing in general, please let me know. Leave a comment below, and let me know what you'd like me to look into. That's what I'm here for. I want to try and help as many people as I can reach their goals, or get through this troubling time. So please let me know how I can help you. Thank you.